Hello, my friends. I'm going to share with you what it takes for me to clean my filters on my aquaponics system. My daily routine for cleaning and maintenance of these filters, the Swirl filter here, is to drain the solids from the bottom of the tank, which I drain right here, and then once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks I clean the netting, which it needs cleaned right now, of the fine particle filter. And I'll show you how I do this. First of all, what I found helps a lot. You see the food that's floating, there's some solid matter that's sticking. I have this screen that collects a lot of the solids, and it stops the solids from going down the drain pipe here. So I'll rinse this off. Usually it has a lot more. I've already cleaned it earlier this morning. So I rinse that off, and then that goes back in. And if it slips off, the screen also floats, so that's pretty handy. But a simple thing does a really good job for keeping floating items and keeping a lot of debris from going down there and transferring over into the fine particle filter. And you can see down here all this stuff that's sticking. So this was cleaned a week ago. I'm going to re-clean it again. If you don't clean it, the water of the tank will go anaerobic, which means it's going to start converting the nitrates back to ammonia, and you'll start getting an odor of the strong ammonia. This one doesn't have any odor, so it's only a week, and most of the material is sticking on the outside surface of that netting. So I'm going to go and show you how I go about cleaning all this. After I run some of the liquids out, you saw the dark, and then in the bottom, the tapered funnel shape should be a lot steeper. A lot of the material does collect to the center, but if it was steeper, most of it would slip down to the center. So I push with this stick to get it to move to the center, and then I also swirled it to get whatever was sticking on the sides. That got that moving and moving to the center. So when you watch a liquid come out, usually it's clear, then all of a sudden it gets dark. And I'll leave it run until I see it gets pretty clear again, and then shut it off. So I probably took about 2 gallons of liquid out of there, and that I can either dump on my, I'll dump that on my plants that are standard pots, or I'll dump it into my grow beds, and the grow beds will filter any of those solids out, because I have a lot of worms in with those grow beds also. I have my composting tower. The top of it, I'm growing a lot of standard vegetables, eggplants, beets, and that needs water daily too. So I dump this stuff on the that tower. Okay, before I start cleaning the netting, first thing I do is I shut the water off to the fish tanks. That should stop the water flow into the filtering systems. Okay, in this filter I have this divider, and the reason I have this in the small particle tank is the water flow. It'll make the water push down through the netting and back up. First thing I'll do is rinse this off in the sink. Okay, that gets set aside. Now, this is the dirty part. And it is kind of disgusting because you're handling fish poop solids. I use this stick with the netting, and I probably have 4 or 5 separate pieces of netting just to change or decrease the bulk. Okay, so I learned from experience I don't have to touch all this stuff. So just wind it up on there, go right to the sink, and swirl it around. There's one. Now I try not to stir this up too much. I want most of the stuff to stick onto the netting. And you can hear the outflow drain. There's no more water coming into this. Right there. Now we go to the sink. Usually keep my mouth closed when I'm doing this in case it's splashing. That's rinsing clean. That's 2. And once that sticks in there, you can start swirling it even while it's underwater. Pretty good size one there. And you twirled it when you hooked it. You can just turn it the other direction to unscrew it off the netting. Now I have my air pumps turned on also. Usually I have those air pumps running all the time. I only turned it off just because they're so noisy. The worst thing that I could do is forget to turn the water back on in the air pump. That won't be good for the fish. Okay, that one's rinsing clean. Okay, now since I did stir a lot of stuff up, I'm going to run the drain. And now usually I drain the entire tank, but that's not necessary. This running through the grow beds and this stuff here, it's all the real fine particle. That will clean the water. Then I wipe down the tank. Okay, then this netting just gets shoved back into the tank. I spread it out. One more piece, small one. My diverter. You can see I keep a little net. What I found is I collected about 300 baby tilapia in the swirl filter, and those guys are always very little. They're about a quarter to a half inch long. Whoops, I startled them. There's the adults, and over here there's, I don't know if you can see them, I can see them, there's probably 100 babies. They're probably 2 to 3 inches long now. Okay, now we have to turn the water supply back on. And I need to adjust the water flow because this is also pushing water into my grow beds. And then my air pump, which is up here on the wall. That's what I'm talking about, that noise. Okay, that should put air into the tanks. You can see the bubbling there. Well, that's it. Doesn't take too long. That's the dirty job. That's only needs to be done once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. If your vegetables are fruiting, it's recommended to do it every 2 weeks so that you have less nitrogen. It's supposedly better for fruiting vegetables. Well, thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.